Okay, then I think we are going to go ahead and get started. Once again, hello, welcome, good morning, good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on saving time managing your IT infrastructure. My name is Harold Dyke. I'm founder and president of Silect. And along with me is Mike Sargent. Mike is our lead developer. He is the go-to developer for all work related to our SCOM product line, including, of course, MP Studio and MP Author. Mike is on board to help with any questions you may have, as well as Mike will be presenting part of today's event. And so just by way of logistics for today's webinar, we will be monitoring our info@silect.com email alias if you have any problems. In most cases with the GoToWebinar provider that we're using today, simply exiting the webinar and restarting addresses most of the problems. A lot of times related to audio, for example, can be solved using that approach. I do want to point out the questions window that's in the GoToWebinar window, and that is a great forum for you to ask any questions that you may have as we walk through today's session. So if you have questions about the material, about the demonstration, about product features, please use that Q&A window. We will be keeping an eye on that. We will likely pop up a couple of poll questions along the way. We encourage you to answer those poll questions. And after the event is completed, when you exit the event and in the follow-up email, there is a short survey that we will be sending out. I believe there's 5 questions on that survey. Really encourage you to just take a minute and answer that survey. Take you a minute or less to do that. It really helps us plan future events. And last but certainly not least, today's session is being recorded. So if for whatever reason, if you're not able to stay for the entire session, a link to the recording will be sent out to everyone. So today's theme is all about saving time. It's about saving time, managing your IT infrastructure. And we've broken it down into these 4 different categories. And really the emphasis today is going to be showcasing some of the new things that we've done with our MP Studio products, some of the new capabilities that we've added with MP Studio that help you save time in a couple of key areas, including authoring management packs. And that's, we're going to spend quite a bit of time on that today and show you some new methodologies for creating management packs as well as maintaining those management packs over time. Next, we're going to jump into looking at some override management capabilities that we provide through our products. I mean, that's one of the biggest challenges that consistently comes up with customers is how to manage overrides, how to find them, how to tune them, how to maintain them. So we'll take you through a demonstration of how we're able to do that effectively and efficiently. Then we're going to talk a little bit about automation and some of the automation capabilities that we have available today to help you streamline some of the operations within your IT infrastructure. And then we're going to finish up with some discussion and demonstration on some new self-service capabilities that we're building within our product family. So stick around. That's some interesting work that we're doing that I think is really going to be compelling to the community. We've had a lot of fantastic feedback with some customers that we've shared that with so far. And so just in case any of you on the call doesn't know about who we are, Silect was founded in 2003. We've been servicing the System Center community for over 17 years, and that's really our singular focus is on helping IT pros who work in Microsoft-oriented IT infrastructures, help them manage those infrastructures. And whether it's on-prem using SCOM, or if you started to adopt services in Azure, we're really about building tooling and providing services to help you really extract more value from some of those infrastructure monitoring capabilities. We're a longtime Microsoft partner. We do a lot of work with Microsoft. We're a founding member of the System Center Alliance. If any of you can kind of remember that group, that goes back a few years. We're also a member of the Azure Management Elite program, and so we're in tune with all the ongoing work being done in Azure and Azure Monitor. And as well, we're a member of the Red Carpet program for the Power BI. And I've got some interesting Power BI stuff in the work as well, and I can share a little bit about some of that work as we go along. Silect is also, we're very very proud of the work we do in the community, very proud of the work of the tooling that we provide. MP Author, perhaps many of you are familiar with that free authoring tool that we make available. We've recently introduced some new free Power BI dashboards. We have a free Sentinel security pack for System Center, both SCOM as well as SCCM. We've got some Linux fragments. We've got some MPB utilities, a bunch of free tooling to help the community, again, drive more value from their investments in both SCOM as well as in Azure and Power BI. And you're likely familiar with MP University as well, which is our event that we hold typically twice a year, where we bring in members of the community, experts, MVPs, to talk about all things related to System Center and Azure. Our licensed solutions for SCOM include MP Studio. Of course, we're going to be talking about that today in some detail. We're at version 10 now of MP Studio. That product has been around for a while, and it's we continue to get great feedback about the value of the product, the usefulness of the product, and things that you'd like to see added to the product. And we certainly encourage you. I see many of our customers are on the call today. We certainly encourage that feedback. Keep telling us what we need to do to make the product better, to help you perform your job better than better than you can today. And we're all about feedback. MP Author Pro is another prime example of feedback we've had from customers and from the community about building upon the free capabilities in MP Author to help address more authoring scenarios for SCOM management packs. We have a compliance pack specifically for the US healthcare marketplace. And we've really ramped up our services group. So we provide a lot of custom development services around, around SCOM, around extending SCOM and connectors to SCOM, around Power BI. And again, we've got some interesting stuff happening within the Power BI marketplace. And last, I just wanted to mention, we recently signed an agreement with Outages where we're representing the VMware management pack in the North American marketplace. So if you're currently using another product to manage your VMware infrastructure in SCOM, the Outages solution is a great solution and can offer some tremendous cost savings over some of the competition. So I encourage you to, if you're interested, to reach out to us and let us know. All right, well, let's move on and talk more specifically about MP Studio, the new release of MP Studio, and how that can really help you save time, with certain things within your SCOM infrastructure. And so, some of the highlights of the new features in MP Studio version 10 include a new fragment-based authoring methodology. And this is something that in a few minutes, Mike is going to get into some detail and show you how that works. But for any organization who's using fragments to author management packs, I mean, there's a tremendous number of benefits of doing that, of using fragments for MP-based authoring. A great way to standardize your management packs, standardize the workflows in creating management packs. We've made that even better. We've added the capabilities to add or remove fragments independently of the management pack itself. You're able to edit fragment parameters. And so again, if you have that foundation of fragments that you're using for MP authoring, this new method that we're introducing is going to be a great help to you. We've also introduced some new roles in MP Studio, including the ability to define users as author-only users or deploy-only users. And those are some things I'm going to be showing you in just a minute, and showing you how you can leverage those roles to be able to allow more people to be involved in authoring management packs, but do it in a very safe and controlled manner. And there's some new notification capabilities. So of course, as perhaps more users are involved in some aspects of your SCOM infrastructure, whether it's creating management packs, whether it's managing some overrides or customizations, it's important that that's done in a very managed fashion, as well as that the appropriate individuals are notified of changes that are happening within the environment. And we've added that new capability to MP Studio version 10. Okay, so I'm going to jump from the slides, and we're going to start showing you some of the things that I'm talking about here, and really try to show you how these things can help you save time with certain tasks that our customers are telling us take a lot of time today. And the first thing to do is to cover off the authoring of management packs. And clearly, most organizations spend a significant amount of time and have invested a significant amount of resources into authoring of management packs. And historically, there's the SCOM console, which is, well, it's challenging at best. You can use XML if you are really well versed in the schema of management packs. But there are free capabilities, free tools available. Of course, our MP Author tool is something that's available to the community, really focused on IT professionals, but as well perhaps even for those users who aren't as well versed in SCOM and the ins and outs of SCOM. MP Author provides a wizard-driven authoring experience to allow them to more easily create management packs. Of course, it's being a free tool. It's something that you can download today from our site and take a look at. Microsoft also provides the Visual Studio authoring extension. So if you're a developer and are more comfortable with the Visual Studio environment, the authoring extensions can provide a way to allow you to create management packs, and that is a free add-on for Visual Studio. Now, one of the things I touched on earlier, and then something I want to show you, is the ability to delegate MP authoring. And again, a lot of customers are really driving towards more of a self-service model where they want to involve other teams, they want application owners, they want other business groups to really look after their own monitoring, not infrastructure, but monitoring configuration. And the delegation of MP authoring is one way to allow that to happen. And we've introduced some new things to make that more accessible within MP Studio. So let me jump over to my MP Studio console and just begin to show you some of these new authoring capabilities and how they can help you within your own SCOM environment. So here we're looking at the MP Studio console. Really important to point out is this store up here in the top left-hand corner. You see a number of folders that exist within that store. The store is essentially a database. It's a database of management packs and perhaps some artifacts around those management packs. It sits on a SQL server, so it can sit on SQL Express or anything up to a SQL cluster. And we have a couple of reserved types of folders. You see backups, well, that's a reserved name that we use. We have a sealed management pack folder, but the rest of the folder structure in the store is completely user definable. So this is the store is a really useful capability to allow you to organize management packs. And as you'll see throughout today's demonstrations, it also provides a number of other capabilities, such as the ability to roll back management packs and be able to version control management packs and see audit history of management packs. Now, one of the things I'd like to point out here is the ability under the user administration to define roles. So actually, the environment that I'm running this demonstration in, I have MP Studio installed on a central server. I have multiple concurrent users using MP Studio, and I'll talk about licensing in just in a few minutes, which is something else that we're doing to help you, spread the adoption of the tool and help you delegate capabilities to other users. In this example, I have a number of predefined roles within MP Studio, administrator, I have author. Any of these predefined roles, I can take a look at the role. I can look at what users with that particular role are allowed to do, whether they're allowed to work with MPs in the store database, whether they're allowed to create management packs, deploy management packs, etc. And I've defined a couple of custom roles. So I have a new role that I've defined called author only. And within that role, user can do most things, but they can't deploy management packs. Furthermore, if I look at the individual user itself, I see that user has the ability to work with, well, most of those folders that I've defined in the store database, but not all of them. So they have access to a development folder, but for example, they don't have access to a staging folder, which I'm going to use to as a prep to launch management packs into my production environment. And similarly, I have a deployment user role. This is another custom role that I've defined that anybody who is in this role is only allowed to deploy management packs. They're not allowed to author management packs. They're not allowed to manipulate the database structure. So I've got a couple of users defined here who have some very, very specific roles available to me. And in this particular example, what I want to do is I'm just going to jump to my application developer role. So here is another instance of MP Studio. I'm logged in. Let me just make sure here. I'm logged in as the application developer. And so I have a restricted view in terms of what I can do within MP Studio. You see in the store database, I only have access to a couple of folders. And let's go ahead and create a new management pack. And I'm just going to run through this pretty quickly. And MP Studio provides a wizard-driven approach to creating new management packs. And let's just call this the Silect. And step through this. It's going to create this in the store database. So again, I only have access to a couple of folders. So I'm going to create this new management pack in my development folder. It's for SCOM 2019, which is our environment. I could use a wizard-driven approach to creating the rest of the management pack. I'm just going to create an empty management pack at this point in time. And so MP Studio is now constructing that management pack. It's building the necessary structure around that management pack. And now it's opening up for me to do some further editing of the management pack. Let's real quick just add a couple of things. I'm going to add a registry discovery. So I'm going to browse my local system here. And let's look into software, Silect, and let's just choose any particular registry value. I'm going to run through this pretty quickly as I'm already a little bit over time. These are some different aspects of this discovery. My base class, we're going to enable it. I can create a seeded discovery if that is the scenario that I want to do this. And let's just check for the existence of the registry key. It's going to run discovery every day. As you can see, I'm just clicking on next for the most part, selecting all the default values, which really simplifies, what I'm able to do here. And let's just create one monitor. Let's create a service monitor. I'm going to browse my local system. Let's monitor that portal service that we have running. Going to enable the element, credentials, health states. Let's go ahead and generate an alert in case something happens, and let's finish. Okay, so really basic management pack, one discovery, one monitor. I'm going to go ahead and save this management pack in my store database. Anytime I do a save of any management pack, you'll see that I have the ability to add some description of the work that I'm doing. Perhaps I could reference a work order number, and you see down here below a detailed set of changes that have been automatically detected by the MP Studio store database. So let's go ahead and save that. I can go ahead and close that off. And let's go back now to that IT, that central SCOM administrator. And I'm going to go back to the MP Studio console for that SCOM administrator and point out something here on the toolbar that we have a notification. And so this is something new we've added in MP Studio version 10, where we can now provide notifications of any changes that are being made in that store database. So if I have multiple users making changes, I want to know, as the lead SCOM person for my organization, I want to know about those changes and I want to know what they represent. So here I can see that the application developer user created a new management pack. I can jump directly to that management pack. And here what I can do is I can open it up, and perhaps what I want to do before anything else happens, I want to look at the work that's being done. I want to maybe have a look at the discoveries that were created. I want to have a look at the monitors or rules that have been created. I certainly have the ability at this point to edit, make any changes to these, to the work that's been done already. Perhaps I want to run the best practice analyzer and make sure that this abides by the best practices before I do anything else with this management pack. And so this is really a process where I'm going to vet the management pack. I'm going to ensure that it's not doing anything that it shouldn't be doing. I can also do some testing of the management pack, but again, in the essence of time here, we can just we'll just look at these results. And so I've done a review. The management pack is good to go as far as I'm concerned. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move this over and save this into a staging area. So I'm going to save this to a staging folder. And I'm going to now show you kind of what that looks like. And so I'm going to involve a third person in this workflow that we're going through when creating verifying and deploying a management pack. And this third individual is just an operator. And so I'm going to jump over to a third instance of MP Studio that I have running. I'm going to verify that, yeah, this is the IT operations persona. And this is the view that that IT operations individual has. First of all, we can see that there are some notifications waiting for this operator. So the operator can see that, in fact, the administrator has created a new management pack in the staging folder. And now I can go over to that staging folder. I can view the management pack, but because I'm just an operator, I don't have the ability to make any changes to that management pack. So while I can open up and I can view the classes, I can view monitors if there are any rules, I could view those rules, I don't have the ability to add anything to that management pack. And really the only thing I'm going to show you just to keep things moving here is the deploy capability. So because I'm an operator, I have the ability to deploy this management pack out to my SCOM environment. Here is the MP. I just have one registered management group, so it's going to go ahead and deploy that out to the management group. So in that example, I just wanted to showcase some of the new features in MP Studio version 10 that support roles. We can really provide a very calibrated experience to the user, only giving them access to certain capabilities, only giving them access to certain folders within our store database. Okay, let's jump back to my PowerPoint slide. And the next thing I want to talk about is the use of fragments. And fragments is something that we hear about from a lot of customers that has really helped them streamline their MP authoring experience. And at this point, Mike, I'm going to bring you into the discussion. Mike is going to give us a demonstration of fragments and some of the new capabilities in MP Studio. Mike, I apologize for going over, but give you about 10 minutes or so if you can get your demonstration in about 10 minutes. So I just gave you presenter rights. So over to Mike.
All right, thank you, Harold. You should be able to see my screen now.
Yep, sure can.
Excellent. So as Harold was discussing, we've got this thing called fragments. Largely, they were popularized by Kevin Holman. Any of you who have been working in SCOM for any length of time will certainly have heard of Kevin. When we saw what he was doing with fragments, it just seemed so wonderful. So we put a lot of support in here for fragments. And one of the things to know about a fragment is this very simple thing. It's a chunk of XML. And here I've hit our import management pack fragment thing. Now I can search and I can select different fragments, but I've already set it up for the fragment I want. You'll note there's 113 fragments available to me here. A few of those may be junk ones I've created, but in reality, there's over 100 fragments publicly available. And of course, you can create your own. But a fragment is basically just the same sort of stuff you would see in a management pack. You know, here's a monitor type definition. Then there's going to be a monitor down here, a unit monitor here, with some presentation, display strings, that sort of information. But it's all parameterized so that you can change things. So we have a company name you can fill in, and you can see here and highlighted with the yellow. There's your company name. This is actually probably a great line to look at. We have an application name here. We have a unique ID, which is just to allow you to have the same sort of monitor for several related things. And we also have a service name that'll show up, I think pretty much down here at the bottom, because that's a parameter here. There's your service name. This particular fragment that Kevin has is very different than the usual service monitor in that it checks how often it's going to, it specifies how often you're going to check and how many samples it requires before it raises an alert. For instance, the default service monitor, it checks, I think, every 30 seconds. If it sees that a service isn't running, it raises an alert immediately. Well, if a service just happens to be recycling and is only down for a few seconds, you can get an alert raised very quickly here. This fragment enhances SCOM by providing a service monitor that isn't quite as trigger happy, if you will, that it requires 2 samples, so the service would have to be down for at least 60 seconds before it'll raise the alert. That's still probably fast enough that you're going to, get it, get the alerts you need in the appropriate time in your system. But it won't trigger a whole lot of false alerts for things that just are transient errors. So within our import management pack fragment dialog here, we have the ability to browse. So if you have in this case, we have services names, so we can browse for the various services. I'm not going to change any of that, but we try to put in browsers whenever possible. You can browse the available classes. We're going to use the Windows operating system, and we're going to click the import. And we do that. We get a new unit monitor type that was just created here. Everything's been added. It's all very simple. The beauty of fragments is, if I want to do the same sort of thing, but I want to do a different service, we'll use sends here, and we'll just change this unique ID to sends as well. And click import. That quickly, we've created that second related monitor, and it's exactly the same form. So we have consistency, we have repeatability, and it's very quick to add these sorts of things. And so fragments have been very popular amongst a lot of our users. It's just been a great thing for a lot of people. It allows you to define your own workflows that can be used and reused. And I know a number of our customers have created fragments, and they use the fragments for creating all of the monitoring so that it's a very consistent way for them. They don't have to worry about two different people creating monitors that are subtly different. Now, there's sort of a downside to this. This fragment was imported. Well, now we have parts and pieces under unit monitors, we have parts and pieces under monitors, we have parts and pieces under secure string resources, and of course there's some strings in the language packs here. So if you want to actually change something, like that, the first monitor we had for the spooler, you'll note that the type ID here is spool service. I actually didn't have the word spooler in there correctly. Well, to change that, I got to go through and find all the various parts and pieces to change that. Not impossible by any stretch of the imagination, but it isn't easy. Worse is trying to delete a fragment, because it can import so many parts and pieces, it can be really hard to remove them. So what we've done is we've created a new thing in version 10, we're calling MPF files, so Management Pack Fragment Files. And in our Silect blog, I've got an article here called Management Pack Fragment Files. If you bring that up, there's a great explanation there. So just go to silect.com/blog and do a quick search for MPF, and you're going to find it. We go through sort of the evolution, and we show how these parts fit together. So basically, up here in the upper left-hand corner, we have a management pack. The MPF file references that management pack and keeps a list of fragments that you want to add to that management pack. And then there's a build operation which produces an output management pack. The beauty of that is that you build just before you need to deploy. It'll include the fragments that are necessary. So your input management pack, the one in the upper left-hand corner, you can put anything in there you want. The MPF file says we will also add the following fragments to it to create the output file. Now the beauty of that is that with an MPF file, you can change it. So for instance, here's an MPF file. It's actually pointing in that same MP we're looking at. There's an output path where we're going to create the output file. We'll see that. But here I have a fragment that we're already importing. So there's the information about it. But if we want to add a new fragment, here it is. This is the information we were looking at earlier with sends. So we can just click add. And of course, it just adds it to the list. So it doesn't actually do anything. So it's quite quick. I'm going to show you the spooler example again, because I want to make that same mistake. I want to change the unique ID to spool. And I'll try to even spell it right. So there we go. I'm going to save that. I'm not going to save this copy of the base MP. But now I can, because I've saved this, I have the choice here to validate the MP or build the MP. I know it's going to validate, so let's just do the build. And what we'll see is it's not going to build. Let me delete that because I'm not sure if that's correct. Let's just see if that's the problem. Sorry about that. Oh, I hate it when this happens. I was sure these fragments were right. Windows Computer, yeah, because we added that earlier. Let me just try one more thing here. Sorry about this, folks. I actually had trouble with the audio this morning and didn't get in early enough to play around with this as much as I wanted to. So let's try this one more time. We're going to build the MP. What I've done is gone back to the base version of the MP with nothing in it, so that hopefully there'll be no conflicts here. Computer, target. We do not have too many hosts.
Mike, I can only give you about another minute here.
Yeah, I'm very terribly sorry about that. What you would have seen is it produces the correct output in the output file. It would be the result of that. And the beauty of this is that, for instance, the spooler example here, I'm trying to see which one we've got here. Here, spooler, let me just edit this guy. If we realize that we put in the wrong unique ID here, we can simply change it, save it, and if it was working, we could do a rebuild. I'm not sure what I've broken here, and I do apologize for that. I really don't know why it's complaining. I'll have to look into that, but I'm sure it's just something I've set up here. Oh, I see exactly what it is. These are not supposed to be pointing to Windows Computer. These are supposed to be pointing to Windows operating system, which I actually did fix earlier, but it didn't carry over to this. So let me quickly get this guy as well. Windows operating system. Okay, save that. And now when we build it, it should work. There we go, no errors or warnings. And in our output file, we have the output, and that has everything in it. And that would have had stuff from the input management pack, plus the monitors that we've just added as fragments. And the beauty of this is I can go back and I can add additional fragments. I can delete fragments simply by deleting them from this list. I can update them, as you saw with spooler versus spooler. It's very quick, very convenient, and despite what you may have seen, generally very reliable. I'm afraid I just chose the wrong base class there. Sorry about that. Harold, over to you.
All right. Yeah, thanks very much, Mike. And one thing I'd like to do real quick is just launch a poll. So I'm going to launch a poll that's going to ask the question, are you using fragments today to help you author management packs? And so we're just going to give that a couple minutes. Mike, I'm not sure if you need to give me back presenter rights or not, but if not, or if you do, please do so.
I'm not even sure how to do that. I'm sure you can take it back, but I'll see what I can do here.
Okay, so there's the poll is running. So let's go ahead and close the poll. And I'm going to share it up on my screen, although I don't actually see it on my screen, but
it's showing.
Lots of you using fragments, which is great to see, and that really is a time saver in so many ways. So it's great to see that adoption of fragments, and I think as Mike was showing, there's some really good work that we're doing to further help you work with fragments and help you save time using fragments. Okay, so let's make sure I am sharing my screen here. Mike, are you able to see my PowerPoint?
Not yet. I'm still seeing the poll.
Okay, so, I think I have to hide the poll. That's right.
There you go.
Okay, so we need to move.
There's the PowerPoint
right here. So Mike's session on fragments. Thanks for that, Mike. And I think throughout Mike's session, you saw some version changing happening in the store. I think in some of the work that I did, you saw some versions in the store. We also have complete audit history. So as new versions get added to the management pack store, you see version changes, you see we maintain a list of audit history or changes to those MPs. And really managing change is really important to save time as well, because that's something as rogue changes happen to management packs, they can create all kinds of problems in a production environment. Okay, let's keep moving, as I am a little bit behind schedule. So, one of the other topics we wanted to cover today was managing overrides. A lot of people in the role of a SCOM engineer spend a lot of their time looking after overrides. And so just wanted to showcase a couple of capabilities that we provide in MP Studio that help you find your overrides and manage those overrides. So the first thing I'm going to do is just show you a capability in MP Studio where I can look at all of the management packs installed in a management group. And I can look through those management packs, I can look through the elements and find overrides and find referencing overrides. So on this particular report that I'm showing, this is something I ran earlier, but it's the result of running a view selected MPs command. It can take a couple of minutes because this does have to iterate through all the MPs that are installed within a management group. But here's a list of all the elements that have been found in the management group. I clicked on this referencing overrides, and really what I want to do is show you a couple of things. First of all, I can see what MP, the referenced MP name is, and I can see overrides related to that MP, but I can also see where those overrides exist. So, in many cases where I see, let's say, the Active Directory 2008 Discovery MP, I can see that there's some overrides that exist in the AD Discovery MP. And that's typically a good relationship to have, is to have an override management pack related to a sealed management pack. There are some examples here, however, that I want to point out that show a little bit of a different story. So here, for example, on my SQL server on Windows monitoring, you see I have management packs scattered across overrides scattered across 4 different management packs. And that's not something that would typically be a good practice to have. So using this particular report available on MP Studio, I'm able to find out where all of my overrides are, find out what they're referencing, and this is going to help me clean things up. If I want to get into sort of a better ratio of override MPs to MP, and typically, again, we've seen it in many cases being a 1-to-1 ratio, I can use this view to help me identify those misplaced overrides. And next, I'm going to show you how we can deal with those misplaced overrides. So let's go back to my screen and show you some of the other capabilities, such as managing overrides in bulk. I'm going to show you how to delegate some override management and some offline authoring of overrides as well. So let's go back to my demo. I'm going to fire up MP Studio. I'm now running as that administrator, and I'm using the same view. So this is the view all MPs. I'm looking at the override elements itself. And here I'm seeing all the defined overrides again for my management group. I'm going to sort this by MP name. And that earlier report showed me some MPs that I think it was for the SQL monitoring. Oh, here we go. So here I'm looking at my Windows Server monitoring overrides management pack. It contains a whole bunch of management packs that shouldn't be here, a whole bunch of overrides that exist for SQL. And what I want to do is actually move a bunch of those. So I'm just going to highlight a bunch of these overrides. They shouldn't be in this MP. I'm going to move those overrides to an MP where they should exist, which is in the SQL Server monitoring overrides MP. So MP Studio makes it easy to not only identify where those misplaced overrides are, but I can also use this report to move those overrides to the appropriate spot within my SCOM environment. Now, I've done this operation on my management group itself. Typically, we're going to recommend you do those changes offline. And so I've got a folder here in my store database. It's just taking a moment to move those overrides. It's actually a pretty sophisticated operation to take those overrides out of one management pack and put them into another management pack. And it can take a minute or two to complete that particular operation, as we're seeing here. However, again, a lot of times what we're going to recommend is you make those changes offline. And so those same capabilities that I showed you in terms of identifying overrides, where they are, moving them to different locations, we can do that with copies of those management packs that exist within our store database. And perhaps the best thing for me to do is just to jump over to a separate role, let's say the operator role. Here I see a production folder that was created. So this keeps a copy of many of the unsealed management packs that are running in my production SCOM environment. Here I can see that Windows Server monitoring overrides management pack. I can open up this management pack, which again lives in my store database. So I'm not making any changes to my production environment at this point in time. I can view the overrides that are contained within that management pack. I can see all the SQL overrides that shouldn't be there, and I can do the same thing. I can move those overrides into a SQL management pack. Just bring this up here. I think I had the wrong management pack open. Let's just open that up. Look at the overrides defined, and it's not letting me move those overrides, but it should allow me to do that. And that's certainly, again, something that we really encourage organizations to do is to work offline, use those offline copies of the overrides and make your changes in an offline mode. It's fully managed. We keep a history of all those changes that you make to the environment. And we allow you to track those changes and view reports on those changes. Just the last thing I'm going to touch on real quick here is some of the bulk override management capability. I think the reason why it's not letting me do this to move the overrides is because I'm in as an operator. I'm not in as administrator. So if I was, let's just do this. So the roles actually bit me because I didn't realize that I didn't have permissions to actually move those overrides. I'm running now as the administrator. I'm in that same folder where I have a copy of those overrides. And at this point in time, if I look at those overrides and right click, I can see, yep, I've got those move override feature available to me here. So again, that was a role-based permission issue that I ran into, and happy to see MP Studio properly enforcing those roles. Again, last thing on overrides is the bulk override management capability. So I have the ability, let's say I've got a situation where my SQL admins are saying their MP is too noisy, or perhaps they even want to adjust some of the frequency of monitoring, that they want to adjust the alert severity in some cases. The bulk override management capability in MP Studio allows me to select one or more management packs and be able to create overrides for common elements across the selected management packs. So as an example, if I want to override some of the rules, I could do something as dramatic as disabling all the rules if I wanted to do that. Or if I wanted to make changes to the alerts that are being generated, perhaps I want to change, turn off everything, turn off all, or I guess in this case it would be enabling alerts for all the monitors that are currently set to not generate an alert. It's pretty dramatic, but it is something that can save you a significant amount of time as opposed to going through each of those management packs individually to find and create the necessary overrides. I'm just going to cancel back out of that. Okay, so saving time with overrides. Again, I showed you the manage change capability. Two other things I'm going to touch on quickly is using automation. MP Studio out of the box includes a number of automation capabilities that allow you to document management packs, to be able to produce reports on auditing, which are changes that are happening to MPs, allow you to produce reports comparing management packs. So if you're seeing any variation between the MPs you have in the store and the MPs in production, we can automatically generate reports to do that. You can generate reports on agent workflow. You can generate reports and automatically back up management packs as well. And we also make available an API. I was going to demonstrate that, but we're running out of time, so I'm going to skip over that. But the MP Studio API enables, virtually limitless automation possibilities where you can integrate it with other systems and do things like create reports or do things like even create management packs. And the last topic for today is to touch on is self-service. And self-service is clearly a direction many organizations are taking. DevOps is a term that's been broadly adopted now, which really, the definition that we use anyway is empowering other teams to be able to look after their own monitoring and their own monitoring configurations. And so we're introducing really what is an extension to MP Studio called the Silect Operations Portal. Consists of a web interface to be able to do things like author MPs or create overrides or view reports. It's a series of Power BI dashboards. We also include the MP Studio console, and we're introducing a new concurrent licensing model to further support adoption of DevOps. And just going to show you, again, rather quickly, and I apologize for running out of time, just give you a quick preview of the Silect Operations Portal, where I'm going to log in here. And this is, again, something that is currently under development. We'll have this available for customers in the next month or two, but I have a lot of capability to be able to view things within my environment, whether I want to view management packs that are, let's say, installed on my SCOM server. Let's, for example, let me do a search for SQL. So using this web-based interface, which fully respects all the roles that we have within MP Studio, I'm able to view management packs in a very customizable display, as we'll see here in just a minute. I'm able to view, if I have access, I'm able to view management packs that are in my stored database. I'm able to view workflows that are running on SCOM agents themselves, and those workflows will also show any overrides. So again, a great example would be a group, let's say, looking after the SQL infrastructure, to be able to allow them to see what's being monitored on their systems, be able to see the customizations, and furthermore, give them the ability to make changes to that monitoring configuration. So here you can see I have a customized display here, grouped by element type, but I have the ability, let me just expand this right up. I have the ability to see all the various elements that are contained within this particular management pack. I mentioned authoring earlier. We do provide an authoring capability as well, where I can either create new management packs, or perhaps I can open up an existing management pack from my stored database. I'm not sure if there's anything meaningful. This is the MP, I think, that we created earlier. Probably not a lot of interesting stuff in here, but nevertheless, I do have the ability to work with existing management packs, including the ability to edit those elements. If I open up a sealed management pack, I'm able to create overrides for that sealed management pack and save them in the stored database. And so really this tool is allowing you to decentralize some of those things that maybe are taking up a lot of your time currently to application owners, to other business groups, but do it in a very safe and controlled manner. We're also adding other things like maintenance. And so this set of tools that we're going to be adding to this portal allowing you to view maintenance schedules, to be able to set maintenance schedules. We're going to be expanding on this tooling as well. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to share, I just want to share one more poll while we still have you on. And the poll is asking the question, do you currently have a self-service portal in use within your environment? And I'm seeing some of the results. I'm not seeing the poll itself. I do see some of the results coming in. I see a lot of you don't currently have a self-service portal within your environment, which is interesting to see. There are, we do see a variety of organizations at various states of self-service portal. We had actually an individual from SAP join us from MP University last month who went into some detail about their portal, which was kind of interesting. So, okay, thank you for those responses. It looks like, again, the vast majority of you are not. Let me share up those results in case I didn't do that. The vast majority are not currently using a portal. Okay, so let's go ahead and just to wrap things up, let me share I think I have to do this every time to share my screen. I should mention as well, we've got some, again, automation. That self-service portal that we're developing has full automation, has dashboards, has a much easier licensing model to adopt. And so with that, I would like to thank you all very much for your time. I apologize for running over. My timing was a little bit off today in terms of the sessions, but certainly encourage your feedback, your questions. Please use that questions window if you do have any questions for us at this point in time. certainly you can email us at info@silect.com. I provide some links there to some of the products and solutions that we've covered today. Really encourage you to please complete that survey. That feedback is really important for us to help us shape future events. And with that, I would like to thank you very much for your time today. We appreciate you spending this time with us. Mike, thank you for your session today. And again, we will stick around and answer any other questions that may come in over that questions window. But with that, I would like to say once again, thank you to everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
And thanks for me too.
All right, Mike, I think we've answered all the questions that have come in, so I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar.